Today we're going to look at the defensive side of the 2018 spring depth chart and what it could look like. All that's coming up after the bumper. Bumper.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. So yesterday, I took a look at the offensive side of the football and what the depth chart might look like. I'm going to have a link to the video up here. Feel free to go check it out. Let me know what you think of that depth chart. But now, let's move into Mike Stoops' defense and his depth chart, which pretty much has 12 positions for 11 players, and I'll explain that as we go. But before this turns into another Fire Mike Stoops video, I want to take a look at the talent, the absolute jewels we have on this side of the ball, and who I think has an edge going into spring camp. So this time, we're going to start in the secondary. And I'm excited because for the first time in a long time, we're going to have daily competition at the corner positions, both corner positions. Because all of those kids can play, man. There is no Jordan Thomas left. So we got an out battle for those two spots, starting at the field corner side. This is the side of the field where your best wideouts are going to line up and probably where your best corner should line up. This is the guy that has to be able to lock people up in one-on-one coverage. And I think the leader of this group, especially going in the spring, has got to be Parnell Motley. He's a junior who's coming off a phenomenal season. Early in the 2017 season, he kind of solidified that spot. Lost it a little bit along the way and then won it back. Played a great game against Georgia. And before that, a great game against TCU. I think the person to challenge him most at that spot is going to be Jordan Parker, who's coming back off of injury and seems to be ready and raring to go. We know we're getting out of Parker. He's a great corner, and his competition with Parnell Motley is going to do wonders for Motley because it's going to force him to be up instead of up and down because he knows Jordan Parker's going to be right there nipping at his heels. I can't wait to see what these guys do on that side of the football. Okay, at the other corner positions, I think it's going to be a battle between Justin Broyles and the two Treys. That'd be Trey Norwood and Trey Brown. Now, to look at Trey Brown is to see a guy who absolutely wants to make plays. He's fiery. He gets after it. But Trey Norwood took that spot. Scrappy Slim, as my man John IBN calls him. And a lot of people forget that that forced fumble that we had against Georgia, that for that scoop and score, doesn't happen if Trey Norwood does not work off his block, come flying downhill, and string that run out so that Caleb Kelly can knock the ball loose, Stephen Parker pick it up, and take it back to the house. The one thing I want to see Trey Norwood do this year has nothing to do with the football field. It's everything to do with the weight room. I want him to put on some weight. I want him to get bigger. I want him to get stronger. I want him to have the physicality to match his defensive instincts and skill set. I know there's a lot of folks that are high on Justin Broyles. I like the kid too, and I expect him to push hard against the two Treys to try to get more playing time come the 2018 season. Now, you might notice that I didn't include Brendan Bookie Radley-Hiles at either one of those corner spots. It's not that I don't think that he's going to compete for playing time at those positions. It's a Mike Stoops thing. And in Mike Stoops' defense, 3-4, 3-3-5, some variation of a 2-3-6 or something, I think Bookie also could fit in at that nickel spot, which is a place that we're kind of thin at unless you want to drop one of those safeties down. I'll get to those in a minute. But the other guy that we didn't hear anything about, that a commenter brought to my attention, was Prentice McKinney. This is a guy that we were really excited to get, beat out Notre Dame to get him, and he's going to be a senior. And we didn't hear much from Prentice McKinney last season. He had all the 2 tackles in the Kansas game. That's pretty much all you heard from him. So if Prentice McKinney wants to make an impact on this defense, it looks like the nickel spot might be the place for him to do that. However, a 5-star corner coming in that can play both corner positions, both safety positions, and this nickel position, you gotta believe Bookie's gonna be the front runner to play that position if no other reason than to get him on the field. And now we move to strong safety, which is that Stephen Parker safety spot, that center fielder, that guy that's supposed to keep the top on the defense. I got Khalil Haughton starting there because he's played that position before, he's got plenty of experience at that position, and we need a guy back there who absolutely knows what he's doing. I could see a guy like Chance Sylvie also getting the start there. Sylvie saw a lot of game time in 2017. He played in all 14 games and had 20 total tackles. We know what we're getting out of a Chance Sylvie. Now, at the free safety position, that's that 8th man in the box. That's the guy that can cover and is the hitter. I got Robert Barnes as the penciled-in starter. I loved what I saw out of Barnes last season, particularly in the Kansas State game. He can move around, he can fly the football, he can make picks, and he can destroy wide receivers. He was also Oklahoma's top defensive recruit in 2017, bar none. What he brings to the table as a defender and as a tackler, we just don't have at the safety spot if he's not there. But the guy that I think has the best shot to compete against Robert Barnes for that position is actually Ryan Jones. Now, I know a lot of folks have been talking about Ryan Jones possibly moving to linebacker, but that speaks volumes of how great he is as a tackler. He redshirted 2017, But at the start of the season, he was 6'1", 219. That's getting into linebacker size territory. But if he's managed to keep his speed and his ball skills, I expect to see him get plenty of game time at either one of the safety positions, to be quite fair, or even the nickel spot, depending on how it shakes out, because he's another one of those defensive athletes that Mike Stoops likes to get on the field because that's what his defense is predicated upon. And that's another philosophical deal that Mike Stoops and I disagree on, so I'm just going to move on. At middle linebacker, I gotta believe Kenneth Murray Jr. is the guy. Now, I know a lot of folks believe he was up and down, and he was, but he was also co-defensive freshman of the year. He made tackles. He made plays. He is the best returning tackler that we at OU boast. But the guy that I expect to compete with him most at that position is John Michael Terry, because John Michael Terry was supposed to play last season. In fact, he was a starting middle linebacker till he got hurt. So now he's coming back from that injury, and he has an opportunity to compete for that spot again with a Kenneth Murray who's got a year of experience and is quite honestly a much better linebacker than any of us thought he might be. The third guy I think perhaps is going to compete that's here is Levi Draper. Draper was our best linebacker recruit in 2017, and I love what he brings to the table from a between the tackle standpoint. He might have played 2017 until he blew out his shoulder. Hopefully he's coming back and he's ready to go. At weak side linebacker, I've got Caleb Kelly. Caleb Kelly has ball skills. He can fly the football. He's all over the place. For me, he was the best defensive player that we had last year, outside of Obo. And I believe he's our top returning defensive player. Now, if I was running the defense, we'd be running 4-2-5 with Kenneth Murray and Caleb Kelly in the middle, because I think they cover all the things that you would need from that front six standpoint. But perhaps the guy to challenge Caleb Kelly at that position is also returning from injury, and that'd be Curtis Bolton, who's going to be a senior. Bolton is one of those linebackers that can play all the linebacking positions in Mike Stoops' scheme. That's another reason why you should watch him, just because of how Mike Stoops' brain works. A guy like Curtis Bolton, who's an all-purpose kind of linebacker, is going to see a lot of game time in his scheme because Mike Stoops likes to believe that he puts a bunch of different looks on the field. Not nearly enough of them have a four-man front, but that's another story. Okay, strong side linebacker. This is interesting to me because this is one of those positions that could easily translate into a defensive end in Mike Stoops' scheme. But the guy I'm most high on playing that position right now is Addison Gums. He's got the playmaking ability, the hips, the hands, the speed, the athleticism to do the job that comes with covering over the tight end, coming off the edge, fanning out in the flat, possibly dropping back into robber zone coverages. I really like Addison Gums. We thought that he was going to have a big year last year. I expect him to have a big year in 2018. The guy that could perhaps challenge him most also could go the same way, also could play defensive end. And his name is Mark Jackson. Now, Jackson is the closest thing that we have to Obo in comparison of size and speed. He's actually a little bit bigger than Obo was. He's a junior with incredible promise, and I really want to see him get on the field, whether it be at strong side linebacker or at the speed defensive end spot, which is what I'm going to talk about now, where I believe Oklahoma has an embarrassment of riches. I already mentioned two guys in Addison Gums and Mark Jackson who could play that position, but the guy to keep your eye on is an incoming freshman, Jalen Redmond. I think Jalen Redmond, with his potential, if he could pick up the schemes, I know he hasn't played a lot of football, but my goodness, can the boy play? Love watching his tape, and I'd love to see what he can bring to the table once he gets the system. Now, the guy that I believe is most going to challenge him for playing time at that position is also a guy he could end up backing up, is Ron Tatum, another Oklahoma product, Lincoln Riley's first commit as the head coach at OU. Also another guy that played in the U.S. Army All-American Bowl. He's got brilliant potential to be the breakout freshman of the year. On the other defensive end spot, I got junior Kenneth Mann as just the starter. From what I saw from him last season, with 5 sacks at that same spot opposite an Obo or even a DJ Ward in some bigger schemes, Kenneth Mann was a man and can absolutely play that position. Behind him challenging, I expect to see Ronnie Perkins. Perkins is an early enrollee and is here for spring camp. Means he's going to get snaps that other guys won't get. Means he has an opportunity to get way ahead and get on the field early and often in 2018. Okay, now we're going to talk about the defensive tackle and nose guard positions, which are two different positions in Mike Stoops' scheme until they're one when you're running a 3-man front. But again, all of a sudden we're deep here again. And this is because of what we have returning and not just what we have coming in. I think you got to look at a kid like Marquise Overton as a natural zero technique, man to play over the nose. He's super athletic, gets after quarterbacks, gets after running backs. I really love the kid from Jinx. At that zero technique spot though, I believe Dylan Fa'amatu and the most critical piece of the 2018 class, Michael Thompson, are most going to challenge at that zero technique nose guard position. In the 3 technique defensive tackle position, it's going to be Neville Gallimore. Unless Gallimore just falls off a cliff with his work ethic, he's one of the most athletic defensive tackles that we boast. However, junior Amani Bledsoe Man, can that kid pick him up, put him down. Another athlete at defensive tackle, another guy that can work off of centers and guards and stunt. I'm really excited about what we have on this defensive line and what it could be in 2018. All right, if you think that my depth chart is off or that I'm not considering the right guy, tell me about it in the comments below. All right, that's it for me. If you liked the videos, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you tomorrow. Deuces.